The United States simply does not have the highest death toll. We've just got a massive population. Look at this chart. As a percentage of population, the US has one of the lowest death tolls of any nation that's been significantly impacted by the virus. It looks like Trump has been doing a pretty darn good job. And when journalists stoke hysteria and say, look, the US has the most cases, either they're terrible journalists and they just haven't thought this through properly, or else they're intentionally deceiving people with this total death count number. All right, let's address this once and for all. Trump never said to inject bleach. Essentially, the message that Trump was trying to convey was that there are technologies being developed that we will hopefully be able to use in order to treat this virus. And that is 100% true. Nothing controversial about that. But the media jumps on every little misstatement, and they try to mischaracterize everything Trump says as if Trump is an irresponsible idiot telling everybody to inject bleach. But that's not what Trump said, and nobody really thinks that's what he said. The reporters and newspapers that are reporting that Trump told the public to inject bleach, they're doing so in an attempt to deceive the public. And that, to me, is far worse than Trump ineloquently reiterating the words of his medical advisors. By the way, the media initially mocked Trump for saying that UV radiation can be used to kill off the coronavirus, which, by the way, was what he was referencing when he said inject disinfectants. But as it turns out, Trump was right. Medical researchers over at Cedars-Sinai, just down the street from me, where I used to work, by the way, they're developing a UV radiation treatment to kill coronavirus in the lungs. That's true. No, they haven't. This is an absolute lie, and it's totally ridiculous. Nobody drank bleach because Donald Trump said injecting a UV light disinfectant might be a future treatment for coronavirus. This was originally reported by the trash newspaper, the New York Daily News. It was then widely repeated throughout left-wing media, but it's just not true. What the New York Daily News did is they took the number of calls to the Poison Control Center over an 18-hour period right after Trump's press conference, and they compared it to the number of calls last year at the exact same time, and they found that there were more calls this year. But here's the thing. There have been more calls this year since the beginning of March. The truth is that since the beginning of the pandemic, people have been using a lot more bleach, Lysol, and other disinfectants, and the poison control centers have been getting a lot more calls. There was no spike in calls specifically after Trump's remarks. Nobody was hospitalized. Nobody died. Literally nobody heard what Trump said and started drinking bleach. This is not only a ridiculous lie, it's an utterly malevolent lie. Just think about it like this. If somebody actually drank bleach and was hospitalized or died, that would be on every newspaper, on every leftist website, all over the country, everywhere right now. But it's not. Why? Because nobody did that. Maybe this guy's going to get a bleach ingestion patient right now. Okay, Trump isn't presidential enough. I can accept that criticism. I don't think that Trump is unpresidential in such a significant way that it's detrimental to the country. But if somebody thinks that he's unpresidential, I can't really argue with that. That's their perception. But he's effective. So the question is, if you could, for instance, improve the quality of life of every American with an unpresidential president, wouldn't that be better than reducing the quality of life of every American with a presidential president? Trump's approach is different than other presidents we've seen in the 20th and 21st centuries. He's often underestimated. He thinks differently. He's very successful in a variety of areas of life, and he's not a typical smooth-talking politician. Maybe you think his attitude or the way he speaks is ugly, but he's probably the most effective president in history, and before the pandemic, probably improved the quality of life for more Americans than any other president in history. Perhaps what we consider presidential in terms of style does not necessarily make a man a great president. Perhaps we need to reassess what it means to be, quote, presidential. Well, that's it for me, and remember, it's not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. Good night.
Together, with God's help, we can and will resolve the problems which now confront us. And after all, why shouldn't we believe that? We are Americans. God bless you and thank you.